a very interesting background and a very impressive background because how old are you?
Just turned 22, so yeah.
Yeah, which is nuts considering the experience that you've had.
I left school at 17, never went to college. The ones who stay learning are the ones who win.
I think the more you can do things faster and learn faster and fail more, people just are so afraid to get things wrong.
Often when people pay for coaching, it's simply just giving themselves access for someone else at a higher level to say this is okay to do. So it's permission to fail.
James, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, amazing.
So before I get into questions, I want to just explain a little bit about who you are because you've got a very interesting background and a very impressive background because how old are you?
Just turned 22, so yeah.
Yeah, which is nuts considering the experience that you've had. But with the A players, which I have joined and cannot recommend enough to people because you have possibly like undersold this and maybe on purpose. The fact that when I joined, I was like, oh my God, there's so much fucking value in what you're offering. Because I thought, to be honest, that it was like more of a network in terms of you go on holidays and you like connect with people. But just the like content, just the education platform side behind it, which I don't even know if you advertise.
We don't advertise it. No.
Which is nuts.
We like little surprises.
Yeah. Which is awesome. Obviously, you've got your app, Obox, which I want to talk about today as well. And you've had experience working with Imam Gadzi.
Yeah, for sure. Biggest lessons, for sure.
Yeah, and I want to touch on all that.
Yeah.
So, if you could just give me like a brief rundown of like who you are, so people listen to this are like.
For sure. Okay, what's like a unknown place in the UK that people will be like, oh, stay away from there?
Stay away from that.
Not much going on.
Not much going on. Where I live, Heysham.
Heysham. I'm from Heysham in Ireland. Okay, not much going on. There's great people there, I guess, and I'm from there. My parents were entrepreneurial, and they were just very, very supportive and always said you can do whatever you want to do. And now, that didn't necessarily materialize to ridiculous like wealth for them, but they were always like trying and pushing and moving the needle forward. So I got the best possible upbringing where it was like, okay, here's the ambition, but like nothing was handed to me, so I still had the mindset without the material outcome at the beginning. I was in school, left school at 17, didn't finish my exams, I didn't sit any exams, never went to college, and then I started working for Imam Gadzi when I was 18. I came back from a summer doing Irish bar work in Greece on the beach. I shared a room with 8 Irish girls at the time.
Oh, lovely.
And myself, only fella there. And came back, was working in a pallet yard, and I had headphones on. So I was learning Jordan Belfort's sales school, which is funny because Josh and Warren, two of the members, actually did a webinar with him recently. They ran the webinar, so it was like full circle moment.
Unreal.
And then I just applied to work with them on Gadzi. Got rejected twice in the 1 week in regards to the actual application process. Tried a third time. They were like, okay, he's persistent, let's give him a shot. There was 15,000 applicants. I went through quite a thorough interview process. Hopped on the last interview, and the sales manager at the time, who was called Max, said, okay, you have 60 seconds to get this job with them, man. Okay, if you say or ah once when you're explaining yourself or selling yourself to me, you won't get the job.
Oh, really?
Okay, so he goes 3, 2, 1. And in that 3 seconds, I was kind of like, okay, like I need to hand this over to God or Jesus and just say, you have me, and because I wouldn't be able to do it by myself. I had no sales background. And then, just it flew by and just everything just naturally flowed. And then about half an hour after the call, got an email saying he got the job, the contract. Started working with Imam, was one of his first 3-4 reps at the time. We grew that team to 36 reps at one stage. I lived with the CEO for a long time, Paul Daly, who took me under his wing. And he brought me out to the US, bought me my first MacBook because I was working off my phone at the CRM for the first 3 months of my SDR position. So all the Zooms I joined, I'd turn my phone sideways so it looked like I had a computer. And I was dialing the leads from from CRM on my phone. And I was in a camper van in the US at the time because I went over there expecting to have money come in from the first month. They said they'd give me a drawdown, which means they just pay you in advance. And, when you earn the money back, you owe the company a debt, basically. But we didn't get that because I joined later into the month. So you need to be there for a full month to get the draw. And so I had €300 in my bank account in the US. I was living with my auntie and uncle over there in their camper van at the back, using their Wi-Fi. Dialing off the CRM, was on in Arizona for a bit. Then CEO brought me over to Maryland, bought me my first MacBook, and he just fed into me. Like a lot of the early lessons I learned in business was from Paul. So credit to him. And then I did that for about 1.5 years left last February. Just didn't feel like there was a path to really grow, and it was frustrating me. It was also frustrating them because I'm a very like direct person. So I guess I was probably even causing friction in leadership there at one stage when I was like just kind of outspoken. I think I was immature the way I spoke out, so my communication skills weren't where they needed to be. And we just decided mutually, it was like, I need to go my own direction because I'm eager to go that way.
Yeah.
And the company was kind of more going towards the direction Inman's in right now, which, you know, isn't like selling courses anymore. So there was no room to grow. Then started A Players, which I'm glad you value a lot. And I mean, like, you know, people often find the education, the partnership section the most valuable for us, and we don't even advertise that part, and that's probably a flaw of mine. You know, we just have enough applicants coming in to where we haven't changed much, and I'm happy with the amount of numbers we're bringing in right now. I don't want to scale that too aggressively. We have other plans. And yeah, I mean, we've grown that from scratch to 190 members across Europe. Some of the most talented young entrepreneurs you'll ever meet, but also so grounded and in good business. And so we have some strict rules for that. Like, there's no guys in like the OnlyFans industry, there's no guys in the gambling industry. Like, we kind of try to keep our money as clean as possible.
Yeah.
So I want the guys who are committed to delaying short-term gratification, building like legitimate businesses, and if it takes a bit longer than the guys who are cutting corners, that's fine, as long as we build something that's sustainable. So that's a quick overview.
Yeah, I love it. And I just want to highlight how much experience you've had in that time and how that comes across when you're giving talks in A Players, and even just speaking to you like personally, like you're so you would never guess it. Like when you told me you were 21, well, I know you turned 22 recently, but I was like gobsmacked because you carry yourself and have the experience probably of someone who's much older than that.
It's crazy how in business your emotional or mental age I was actually talking to someone recently last night about how, you know, someone said they're 28 and I said they're a lot older than us, and she was like, that's not much older. And I said, well, in business terms it kind of is, because if you go through 5 years of business, it's like 40 years of life, maybe more, if you're in a certain environment. So it just pushes you to become older, and you have to mature or else you can't stay with. So it forced you to kind of get to a next level, which you know, has its definitely loads of pros. It also has its cons of, like, you know, constantly being in a headspace of, I guess, pressure and stress to a degree, but good stress. But I mean, you wouldn't change it.
And you'll obviously see so many young entrepreneurs come in because through the A Players and just your network. What would you say is the biggest downfall or the biggest roadblock that you see these young entrepreneurs facing?
Ego.
Yeah. Explain.
It's when you come into wealth fast, and you know, you get to your 10-20k a month within like 3 to 6 months, you build a huge ego. And that's not to say that they're not talented. It just means that, like, you've come into wealth so fast that you need to reground yourself and know that you always have something to learn, because when you get to them stages very fast, you kind of get to a stage where it's like, I know it all. And then it's very, very easy to go down that path, but the ones who stay learning are the ones who win. And obviously the ones who stay learning are guys invested in themselves in some way, shape or form, whether that's team, whether that's information, whether that's exposure in regards to network. So I think ego is the biggest downfall. The guys who think they know it all try to do it themselves, and then they're like, why can't I push past this barrier? But you always need to be learning from someone.
Yeah. I feel if you're not learning and educating, you are going to be stuck at a certain revenue, because unless you can better yourself, and I think there's a massive correlation to how much you develop yourself to how much money you make.
Absolutely.
And the more time, energy and effort you can put into learning and developing your skill set, it carries across like tenfold into every area of your business.
So I was actually listening to a podcast about Hormozy recently, and his mentor told him to write a book after every year in business he was in, not to necessarily publish the book, but to understand why he grew. Because most people scale, but they don't know how they scale. It's kind of like a combination of a bunch of things, and you can't replicate that success again because you don't know what actually brought you there, the levers that brought you there. And I was kind of reflecting on, I guess, the last 2-3 years, and I was thinking, like, people always ask, like, how do I get from one phase to one phase, next phase to next phase? And I was thinking, it's phase A to B, where you're going from beginning to first couple of clients or getting your head into sales or whatever it is. A to B is simply being resourceful. So like, you only have your time and your energy and your hard work. You don't have money, you don't have people, you don't have exposure, you have nothing to actually leverage. You have to be resourceful, so you need to just work as hard as possible. There's no other way around that. People always try to find this like secret tool, but there's nothing else away from hard work. And then from B forward, once you get them clients or you get money come through the door, that's what we do. Like, we leverage either people, or we leverage our own time, or we buy information which gets us access to the thing faster. But most people stay stuck, as I'm saying, with the ego. So I got myself here, so I'm going to get myself to the next phase. It's not the case.
I completely agree. It's such a different mindset shift that you have to go from being the operator to...
You're a huge investor in yourself. And you're like, no, guys, you have no idea. You joined, and then a couple of days later, you spent 10K from watching one of the calls with one of the guys who you were impressed with to learn from him. You're on a constant seek of learning, which I admire, because even I find myself like hesitant, like, can this person provide me enough value? But yet again, that's ego. But you're very clearly must be disconnected from your ego, whether that's done through self-work or you've always been like that.
I guess, like, I just think I want to learn fast, and the fastest way to learn is just find people who've done it before. So like, with it was Jeremy Pogue, I watched one and I was like, right, let's get started. Let me learn as much as I can. And then the same thing with Dan Henry. I watched him come on I seen him through the A players. He came on and he was like roasting one of your
guys.
He pulled up his.
What did you learn from Dan Henry?
Oh man, it was so good. And I'm still working with him. So basically, I did a in-person mastermind, which is just like a one-to-one day with him, where he just breaks down your business and gives you a roadmap for how you're going to scale this. And then you've got him for 6 months as like a personal coach.
Do you ever ask yourself before you invest in anything, like, how applicable is it to me, or do you just like value the person's information and feel like it can always apply, or that they're like flexible? Because for me, when I'm looking into investing and stuff, and many people here would be the same, they're like, will this directly help me? Has this person directly done what I've done? Because Dan didn't do what you did. He didn't grow gyms. He was great at marketing. And so did you feel like you were really, really, I guess, weak in that area, and you just wanted to understand marketing as a general whole, then apply it yourself? Or do you feel like he'd help you apply directly?
I feel it doesn't necessarily have to be specific. Okay, it's great if I could meet with Hormozy because he's done Gym Launch, which is literally a very similar business model to what I'm doing. But someone like Dan, his skill set and the knowledge I can learn from marketing in general, I can then apply that to my niche. So when I'm looking for people to learn from, I would say it doesn't necessarily have to be the niche that I'm in, because there's so many carryovers. Even look at someone like Dan Martell. Like, he's very general in his education, but it's so transferable. Like, I've taken loads from Dan Martell as well, and never meeting him personally and working with him one-to-one just for his group stuff. I think the education he has there, even though it's broad to every agency or business or whatever it may be, it carries across.
The concept of the fundamentals. Let me tell you a fun story about Dan Martell, actually. Dan Martell, I sent him a message when I left Iman's team saying I was with Iman's team and now I'm kind of going doing like fractional sales work, etc. I sent him a message himself, and he had hundreds of thousands on Instagram at the time. And I got a message back, and I was like, okay, this is obviously an EA or a setter that's managing his DMs. And he was like, what's your phone number? I was like, here's my phone number. And he was like, what do you do with Iman? I told him what I did with Iman, etc. He's like, are you free right now? I was like, okay, yeah, I am. I get a phone call from Kelowna, Canada, which is where he's from. And I was like, is this a team or something? And Dan Martell himself called me for like 20 minutes on the phone and asked me about like my life, my values, my perception. So this is a guy who was making millions, tens of millions in his DMs, trying to find the people that will move his business forward. And people often tend to delegate the stuff that seems unscalable, which is like, choosing people, or that's a low ROI of my time. And it's often, if people think long term enough, some things are so corely fundamental that if someone's going to be with you for the next 10 years, this is something I got fucked up with A players, was I got someone in my team to hire someone else externally. So like bring in like an executive assistant or an EA or VA, etc. And that person didn't work out. But that was because I just thought I was above that like hiring phase. And you never are. You should, and Brian Chesky talks about this, you should probably hire your first 200 employees yourself. And whereas most of us have the ego of like, that's not worth my time. But if they're going to be with you for a long time and you're going to feed into them, you want to hand select them, spend that effort and time on it. So that's what I did. And now that I've actually done the effort myself to do it, have all the meetings, etc., I'm board with a great executive assistant who will be with me for a long time now.
Awesome. So, I had a similar experience with Dan Martell. I was messaging him in my DMs on Insta, and I'm like, this obviously isn't you. I replied something, and then he sends me a voice note like, no, this is me. Like
no way.
So he is in his DMs, like, and I bought his coaching program, but he's there, like, and as big as he is and how much money he makes, he's still the one there messaging people and converting them over the line. 100%. So like, if he's doing it, you're not too good to be doing it. One analogy I found in regards to going back to the question that you asked, what gets most people stuck, and what separates most people? What separates them? There's two things there. Number one, the first thing that comes up to me is in this analogy I seen recently was with entrepreneurs. It's like a blacksmith back in the day. If you want to make a sharp sword, for example, as a blacksmith, you have to like hammer the one spot long enough for it to become sharp, and that's like how you make a sword. But if you're constantly seeing this new business model or strategy or way of doing things and switching the spot that you're hitting, you'll just end up with like a piece of scrap metal. So you're never actually sharpening your sword enough to become
extremely good at it. And you've probably seen it, people hopping from network marketing to this business, to that business model, to this strategy. And it's like, if you don't stick at one thing long enough, everything can make you money.
Yeah.
You seem to be really good at it.
Yeah.
And the second one is, as you said, you're working with Dan Henry. He hasn't grown gyms, but you can discern the information that he's given to you. And that's something that I don't think can be replicable. Was people ask me, like, what's that one trait, the characteristics of successful entrepreneurs, is they can take information that's so far away from their business and be like, I like that bit. And then they'll put it on their business. They won't take the full thing. They won't take none of it, but they'll take bits and bobs and they'll apply it. It's like same with you with Dan. You probably said, I like that. Don't need that. Let me take this and apply. Whereas most entrepreneurs are like, I want it all, or I want nothing. That doesn't mean, discernment.
100%. And I like what you said there, because the analogy for me would be like, if you're trying to get better at a certain thing in the gym. Let's say, like, I do a lot of CrossFit style training, and it's a big thing where you try and do everything at once. You don't get good at anything. Whereas if you just like, okay, I want to get good at weightlifting, I want to improve my clean and jerk and my snatch, and it's like, if you just focus on those things, then you push those numbers up. Whereas if you try and do everything and jump around and like don't spend 12 to 24 months, like, and people also always think that the goals come quicker than they do. People think like, I'll do this in 12 months. But really it's a 5-year journey. It's a 10-year journey.
Something that we're doing right now in business is we're actually taking like a step back to go forward, and we call it the slingshot effect. So it's like, we're at a certain point in business now to where we feel like we're kind of reacting to our situations, our circumstances. There's stuff that we want to implement, but while doing the other stuff that we're already currently doing. And so it's like, it was so hard to constantly get the next phase of what we wanted to do in. And every successful entrepreneur I've talked to, I have a best friend of mine who does 10 million a year at 25. One friend of mine founded the F1 ticketing software. His name's Christian. And many times in their lives, they were at a phase where they took like a year off, or 6 months off, or weeks off at a time to recalibrate so they could go for the next phase. Because if you're constantly in that cycle of the same day-to-day thing of signing new client, and all you're doing is going in that circle, you need to take a step back at some stage, assess the business model that you're in, and actually say, like, what's the leverage point here? One thing he said was choose leverage over revenue. Recently he said that. I was like, I fucking love that. So now we're actually stepping back. I've deleted all my posts on Instagram, my reels, etc.
Have you?
Yeah.
Why?
I will archive them all.
Really?
Because I don't want the attention, because it's going to keep me thinking about the current moment. And so what we're doing right now is I'm archive everything. I'm not posting. My team is fully focused on stacking content and creating a vision for what happens on January 1st. For the next 3 weeks, it's just strategy and structure that allows us to step into a new phase of who we are as a members club, and as myself, as my own identity. So January 1st, we hit the ground running. There's like 3 months of content stacked. We know what we're doing every single day. There's a structure in regards to the stories that we're doing that will bring us to that next level. And I feel like people are too attached to the monthly revenue that they see in their account each month to pull back, to be like, okay, how do I get to the next phase of this, so I'm not going in this cycle forever?
I love that. And something I think is massively important is stepping back and just looking at your business as a whole. Because if you are stuck in the day-to-day of everything, and you're not taking a minute to understand, how could I make this better, how could I optimize, and what is the actual direction I want to go in, of course you're always going to be stuck, burnt out, and in the same position and not improving.
The CEOs say, like, you should make your business extremely obvious. So most of us know exactly what we're doing in our head, and it's all in our head, but it's not on paper. It's not in front of us. And one of the biggest things I took away from the 6-week CEO bootcamp we're doing right now is we're just making the obvious things obvious, but out on paper. And now they're like released from our head, so we can let go. And it's so clear, and it's all laid out in front of us. And you're like, oh, that's why it's not working. Whereas it's all in your head, and you're so stuck within yourself. And if you just take the time to lay things out, then it just gets easier. I'm a big fan of journaling. I spend a lot of time, probably like 2-3 times a week, just writing out my thoughts in terms of what's going on. Because when you've written it out, for some reason there is this relief of I'm not holding it in my head anymore. I can relax. And also reprogramming. I spent probably 9 months working with a performance coach. He was he had a lot to do with England rugby first team, and it was all about reprogramming the way you think, looking at the positives and taking opportunity from things, because we're so hardwired to think negatively and understand, like, perceive events as negative and not look at the best possible outcome all the time, because we're just humans and it's human nature. People think of manifesting as only a positive thing, but you also manifest your negatives. And like, if you are thinking constantly negative, you can ask yourself and reflect, like, you're also in a negative state right now, so you've also manifested that too. So people often just say, like, I want this, I want that, etc. And if they reflect and they're like, why am I in the situation I'm in right now? Oh, it's because I speak like this and I think like this.
Yeah.
So I am this. So it's 100% mental all the time.
100%, yeah. And again, like we said before, your mental side and how developed you are and how you operate internally has the biggest impact on your revenue in your business.
You're your own bottleneck most of the time. People are often more likely close to a mental scale than a skill set scale. Like once you learn a skill set, the skill set, like there's only so much more you can learn about the skill set. You're just doing the thing at a higher leverage.
Yeah.
And the only way you can get to a higher leverage thing is believing that you are capable of doing that.
Yeah.
Most people just don't believe they're capable, that their skill set will apply to a higher leverage case scenario. So that's what holds them back. It's a mindset thing, not a skill set issue.
And it filters across everything, because for you to build a big business, you have to build a team. And for you to lead a team, people need to be able to look up to you and learn from you. And you can't view yourself negatively and be a negative person, because people don't want to be around that.
And you gotta like, when you're scaling, you gotta like bolt to cut. I like to say, it's like you have to overload in order to actually break systems to realize how you scale. Because people, it's like kind of, let's say you want someone to get, they're at right now 68 kg, they want to be 75. And the best way to probably get there is probably extreme bulk fast and then like cut back down, versus like if you're doing it over time, it'll probably take 3-4 years. And so, well, that could be inaccurate, but in my business, our philosophy is, hey guys, we're going to bulk this season so we can cut back on what's unnecessary and then realize this is the efficient parts and then double down on them. And so normally it's like the 64-4 rule, where 4% of your business and your actions is great and 64% of the leverage. And so recently, for example, we overhired. But it made us realize what was actually needed. And so we had to cut back 1 or 2 people, and then we had to focus in on 1 or 2 systems, and we were like, okay, now we're more profitable and we're at a higher leverage margin. And most people are trying to tiptoe their way to scale, but like you need to break shit, you need to spend the money on the ads, you need to try this new perspective and marketing, and people are scared to do that.
100%. I'm such a fan of speed in business.
Oh yeah.
I think the more you can do things faster and learn faster and fail more, people are so afraid of it. People just are so afraid to get things wrong. And like you said there, they don't want to pay too many people or employ too many people, or what if this happens? Like they sit and analyze so much. It's like, if you just go and do the thing and mess up, you'll learn so much faster than if you sat and analyzed it for a long time. And that's a big mental model that I run, is just speed over everything else.
That's why people have board of advisors as CEOs, because you need to give yourself permission to take the risk sometimes. And when you're in your own headspace, it's very hard to give yourself permission to fuck up the thing that you built. And so often when people pay for coaching, it's simply just giving themselves access for someone else at a higher level to say, this is okay to do.
Yeah.
So it's permission to fail or risk it.
Yeah. I constantly think, I will think often, like, if everything went wrong, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Like, I'll still wake up tomorrow. I'll still have somewhere to live. Like, even if you lost everything, like you lost all of your money.
Which is impossible.
Like. Exactly. But let's say it happened, like you could just build it back.
Yeah.
Like you have the skill set now to be able to generate money. Yeah. And if you truly believe in yourself, it's you don't have to have that fear, because whenever I've had fear of failure or fear of things going wrong is definitely when my businesses have performed worse. Yeah. Whereas when you have that feeling of like, I can do this and I will do this and it's going to go in this direction, it always performs better.
That scarcity mindset fucks most people up.
Yeah.
And if you're watching this and you need permission to fail, permission to take that risk, spend the money on the ads, spend the money on the mentorship, whatever you want to do, I think we should give them permission. Because I actually remember watching a podcast, whether it was Simon Sinek or Gary Vee, and in the podcast they were like, just fucking do it. Yeah. And then I bought whatever I was supposed to buy. I just clicked off the video and bought it, and I was like,
yeah. Well, if anyone's listening, they should start, and they're a young entrepreneur, they need to start with A players, because
I love that. I appreciate that.
That has got so much fucking value, and what you're doing for these guys coming in, and even myself, I've learned so much from it. Is unreal.
It's a great first step.
Let's go. On A players, what was the biggest driver to start in A players? Why did you start it?
I just feel like there's such a lack of community in Europe. Like, Europe is very individualistic, scarce. Like, if you look at like Germany, France, each culture is its own culture. And within the US, it's just one culture. So like all states are part of one country and they all have their own language, right? But we have individual languages across Europe, so that brings barriers into business. So for me, the whole concept behind A players was, well, most of us do speak English who are successful entrepreneurs, because you kind of have to learn English to get in the English market. And so it's like, okay, there's so much talent in each area. Why aren't we working together? Yeah. Like, me and the guys looked at ourselves in the mirror one day when we were in Marbella, and we're like, okay, you're talented at marketing, I'm talented at sales, he's talented at acquisition, he's talented at content. why the fuck are we doing our own businesses?
Yeah.
Like, why aren't we advising each other companies once a week and this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong here? So it's our individualism that will hold us back most of the time. And for A players, I wanted high level guys to have access to high level guys to perform with strategic partnerships, referral partnerships. You can hire faster when you're working with someone, you know, now they're trusted, and you know the opportunity cost of working with someone who's shit is there. So there's so many upsides of network, which is why it's hard for us to market, because you can come in and each individual finds each part more valuable, or different parts valuable. So it's very hard for us to be like, it's the one point, because then we're losing on all the other guys. So lifestyle is normally the best way, because people are like, I want to live like that, and whatever mechanism of success it is for them to live like that, then we tend to have it.
Yeah. And teams always outperform individuals.
Yeah.
Like they always outperform individuals.
Yeah.
So the more people you can get around who are like-minded and you can help each other, you will always do better.
People are leveraged. They just stop you from fucking up in certain areas, and I often say the best hires or ways of doing things are referred based off people who are currently doing them, or people who are using that current person. If you're going in the marketplace and you're hiring by yourself, or you're working with an agency and that isn't a recommended agency, there's a high likelihood it's not going to work out. Yeah. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. What would you say, of your experience with Iman Gadzhi and the businesses that you've been a part of, and helping build systems in some of the businesses that are 7 and 8 figures, what would you say it has the biggest effect in the way that you run your businesses now? And in terms of like values, tolerance, like risk tolerance, relationships, what would you say has had the biggest impact to what you now use in the present day?
I would say it is having a team in your business. I think that Iman puts it perfectly in regards to, you know, you can do it all yourself, but that's what creates burnout. And it's if you're not around a good team every day. Like, I'd rather make less margin and have a better team with a story and a culture and the possibility of leverage as well, if they're extremely good at what they do, and work with them long term. Because when you're bouncing ideas off people and you have a good culture, you want to show up every day. You want to constantly work together to see what you can improve on. But when you're a lone ranger, and even if you can do everything by yourself, I would still choose to do it with my team and give them responsibilities and go travel with them, etc. So team culture was everything. I mean, I've been part of companies that were fucked because team culture went negative all of a sudden. So every important CEO will always tell you culture is more important than any system.
And being part of those bigger companies that have these great cultures, what do you feel they did best to create these cultures?
They made people better outside of work. So they always had a focus on, we have an accountability chat, or we have external coaches that will come in and give you guys sessions on XYZ thing. And so they always made us better externally. So when I was working for Iman, I was earning not much money, but I was part of a 75 hard challenge, or they'd fly us here to be part of this dinner with the team to get personal brand content, etc. They were making us better as individuals outside of work, which made us feel like we were growing, even if we weren't growing financially. So your team needs to feel like they're growing internally as well, if that makes sense. And the second biggest lesson I learned was, it's actually more important to have an A player system with B players than it is to have just A players with like a B player system. Because you can't really scale with like just individuals that are just great at what they do, because like there's no replicable system. Whereas if Clayton was saying this the other day, he was saying, I'd rather have a bunch of B players and a great system that they can follow and replicate, and if the B player wants to go away, he can go away, and some other B player will come in, that system's replicable. And so he said, like, you don't always have to hire the most special person in the world. You need to look internally first and think, how can I make this task that I'm doing so easy for the next person that I hire to follow, that anyone can come in and replicate what I'm doing.
Yeah, I love that. And I think the more you can create better systems, again, the better your business will run. And the more you can find better people, the better and more successful your business will run. And you do both of them really well, and you will win.
If you're constantly working so hard, you don't give yourself the space to find the thing that's going to get you to the next level. And so Dan Martell says 80% done right is 100% fine with me, or something like that.
I love that.
And it's like, Christian also says it, it's like, I'd rather have a cash flow business that makes me 50,000 a month and gives me 25 hours a week to think about what is the next move that makes me bring that 50 grand to 500 grand, versus so in the weeds that you're like, how can I get my 50 to 75 to 100? You're thinking of this 10x move at all times, which allows your team to think bigger. And Martel said this as well, as your vision should be so big that your team's vision fits inside of that. So their individual goals of owning a Porsche or having a house or living in this country, your team's vision and wealth, if executed correctly, should be so big that these guys can be like, waking up every day thinking, if I do this, then I can get this.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, because motivating your people is massive, and doing it like you say, having your goal fit in terms of their goal. They're obviously going to work harder. They're going to be more motivated, and if you can create culture where you are improving them outside of work and they want to be there, that's then obviously you will succeed and you'll get better. One thing that I have struggled with so I've come from the background of gyms, like in-person physical gyms, where I've been there and I've got that physical touch point with people, whereas moving to Gym Grow, which is an online based agency, having people from all across the UK and the world, in terms of employment, I found it more difficult to connect with people because it is over a screen. I think the physical in-person connection is slightly different. How do you find working with a team that's remote?
This is super important both for A players community and for a culture of team. Whether you're building either, you always need to have something upcoming in 2 or 3 months physically. Like with A players, it's like there's an event in 3 months at all times. So there's always a reason to be hyped, or there's always a reason to look forward to something. But if there's nothing to look forward to, you're just like in the day to day, you're like, why am I here? Whereas with my team as well, it's like, this event in 3 months, I'll bring you all to this event. This event 6 months after that, we'll get to go to that one. I'm really looking forward to Chamonix. I'm looking forward to Marbella next summer. And like there's these stable points, but it can be something as simple as just going for dinner in like London. Or like it doesn't have to be that expensive. Like flying into London, if you go into one of the airports, it could be like €100 flight for each person that's coming in. A dinner could be a couple $100. Like it's worth it to have the longevity of the people that are bought in. So my number one tip is always have something that you're looking forward to that's physical. Because people miss that physical touch nowadays.
I love that, and something I could definitely do more of. I'm probably going to steal that and start pushing that. I've got an event running for the Gym Grow clients in 2 weeks time, which will be the first one.
Where's that?
That's in London.
Okay.
So just hosting it, going out for food, etc., which would be nice. But I think having more of those events will be huge.
Like they should be leaving the next event saying, I'm looking forward to that one in 3 months' time. I really want to go to that one. Like there needs to always be something for them to like cling on to hope-wise, or it's also a motivator for your clients to be like, I want to make more money to be able to go to this next one. Like for the A player guys, it's like Chamonix is not a cheap place to go to. So like they're going to work their ass off for the 3-4 months in between summer to be able to go on a ski trip at the weekend, on the weekend of January.
What system have you built or have been a part of that has completely changed the trajectory of a business, or maybe that you use now in your business?
What system have we used or implemented? We've implemented a lot recently.
What's been the most impactful one, or what's one you've implemented recently?
It's super important to have OKRs in your business.
What's an OKR?
It's like a objective key result. So often it's very difficult to like make your goal tangible. But it's super important to always have like 3 targets that if these are done by the end of the month, at least we move forward like 10%. And for us, it's like we always reflect and kind of ask ourselves, like, what's the 3 things that we really need to move the needle forward on? Like nothing else. If you just got these 3 things done, what's that? And so it's just, for us, it's just simplifying the business. Because there's always so many little small things that we can focus on. And if you're so obsessed with them, you're never actually going to really know, hey, what's these 3 things if we get done as a team? And then I make them for like each individual sector. So my CEO will have one, my content department will have one, and my EA might have one. And hers job is to just stay on top of these guys and make sure these guys are getting done. So just always having the 1 or 2 key results and that move the needle forward for us personally.
For me, I have a system where at the end of every week, every employee is submitting a report of, it's essentially a KPI for them, but I don't call it that because I don't feel like people like that. But a weekly report of what's going on in their business, but it does highlight exactly what they're doing at the present time, so they can stay on top of things. Like for my gyms, it's massive. Like the managers it's just profit, it's revenue. So it's really easy to just see like where we're at every single week and how they're performing. But creating a common goal as well is huge. And something that I read recently, which I like the analogy of, is if you were to play a football game, you would never bring the team in if you were the manager and individually sit each person down and say like, hey, you're doing this wrong. Or, hey, you get everyone in and you're all there to get the direction and what we're doing right and where people need to change. And having people included in bigger meetings, I think, is important.
Super important. And then in them big meetings, like making them feel like they're powerful in the meetings too. It's like, you like telling your midfielder like you are the best midfielder in the world. There's no man who can find a pass like you or a through ball like you, and so like keep that up, or like because then individually he's like he feels his power now. So core part of leadership is always making that person feel big in a small room.
Yeah. And another thing that I've implemented recently, which I've, again, not been the best at, I've been very good at giving people direction and where we're going wrong and what we're doing right and what we're doing well.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've stolen recently, which seems to be working really well, it was a study which looked at basically employee satisfaction and how happy they were at work. And one of the biggest factors for an employee to be happy was just how many times is their management just checking in and saying, hey, what do you need from me? How can I help? And rather it be the other way around where you're always expecting something from your employee and you've done this wrong, it's actually just checking in to say, hey, how can I help you?
People have no idea how important like a 5-minute phone call is. Like I'll often just call the boys up and say like, what's happening? How are you doing? Like even just about their day. It's like, it's so important. Clayton, a guy that was on that exited for over 1.2 billion total of exits, was on A Players recently. And he was just talking about like, for your sales team to grow, it's not necessarily about like any sales tactic or training. It's the frequency that they always are holding themselves to. So you as a sales manager, your biggest responsibility isn't actually like teaching them an objection, handling close, etc. It's calling them up every day and giving them like them 5 minutes of just confidence that like, man, you were the best at this. Like I love how you're working on this and this and this and this, and you're raising their like view of themselves. And they go into that call with more conviction, and conviction closes more than any objection handling will ever close.
And it goes back to mindset and how you view yourself. You'll get a better result.
Beliefs.
I love it. How do you know when to delegate versus staying hands-on, and how do you avoid losing control through scaling a business?
Delegation is overhyped in our world, I think, in regards to like people just delegate too early because they're just lazy. One thing that I messed up on was I delegated my sales process too early. And it was, I was like, hey, here's a closer, he'll go in, he'll like close these deals, etc. But like I hadn't gone in and done that process. And so to be honest, as a business owner, it's very, very important to be able to understand all parts of your business. It is like, you need to understand, how do I basically run ads? Like it doesn't mean you have to go run them yourself, but go pay someone to be like, here's like a walkthrough of what you should be looking at, so you know you're not getting fucked by whoever's running them. And I've heard this from many high level CEOs, like you do need to have a general broad understanding of business. Like the bare minimum you need to understand. And so for delegation, like I'll only delegate the things I'm completely poor at, like operations. I'm not a systematic person at all, but I had to become that to understand, where do we need to simplify? And with operations, for example, where I messed up was I delegated without understanding systems. And when I delegate systems, people fix problems that don't exist sometimes. And so with systems, we brought on a COO, and he knows this himself, but he started like making extra stuff. But like in systems, the key is how to make as much as like as simple as possible. So you're trying to remove things more than adding things on to make things cooler. And then with sales, I just had to hop back on the sales process, and then the feedback loop is way closer. So I delegate tasks that are not worth my time, like admin tasks of like follow-up, tracking, CRM stuff, all to a VA for like $500 a month. I have an executive assistant that logs into my WhatsApp and my Instagram through this app called Beeper. So she monitors any requests that I have going on or anything I missed. She stays on top of that, makes a couple of priorities for me each and every single day. My operations guy just makes things as simple as possible. My content team do whatever they're supposed to do, and I give feedback loops to them. So I know to delegate, yet again, bolt to cut. I will hire, but then I'll go and I'll learn off them what they're doing. I'll be like, this doesn't seem too right. I'll reflect. So it's all about reflection more so than delegation, I think. And knowing where you need to bring in.
I have to stop myself getting involved in things, because you see something and you're just like, I could do it best, and you get involved, but it's like holding back and almost letting your employee maybe like go through the lesson and just coaching them through how to improve upon this, so that the next time it comes up, you don't have to be involved. Whereas I constantly, and I feel a lot of CEOs and people who run businesses have that urge to, well, I'll come in and do it for them. But the more you can coach them and the more you can build them up, the easier your job becomes long term.
One thing I say to my content guys in particular is reassessment's easier than prediction. And so like they were like, oh, what's going to work for our content strategy for, it was the start of the year. I said, let's just post anything that comes to our mind for 60, 70 days. And once we do that, we can then see what works.
Yeah.
Instead of just trying to see what will work before we know what works. So we posted for 70 days straight. We were like, okay, these 10 videos got really good traction. Why? And I was like, okay, well, I said this here. There was this storyline here. We use credibility here. Okay, archive the rest of the videos. Let's keep the ones that perform the best, and let's replicate that process. And so give your team permission to fail, but then be very, very close with helping them reassess why that worked or why it didn't work. So then it's replicable going forward. So permission to fail, but be very close. When you're delegating, you need to be on calls with that person every day for like a month.
Yeah.
And being like, why did this happen?
Yeah.
Why? Curiosity.
Yeah.
You know?
Give them proper training.
Yeah.
Rather than just like
Here, take this, try that. Yeah.
And expecting a perfect result,
Yeah.
and then being annoyed that they've not done it to the standard you wanted.
That is probably the biggest lesson, delegation. It's
Yeah.
like, even if you are delegating, it doesn't mean you disconnect.
Yeah.
It means you're in that process with them, side by side in the trenches, understanding it with them for a month each, which people just hire, right, go do that thing.
Yeah.
And you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. And I've definitely been a culprit of that, and not being patient enough, and just being like, well, I've hired you to do this job, go do it.
Go do it.
Whereas you actually need to spend all that time training them and getting them to a point where they feel confident.
Yeah.
And the payoff is huge, but yeah, lessons learned.
You don't feel like it's worth your time at the very beginning, but it is long term.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. What do you decide to automate in your business? And is there anything that you automate, or is everything done through human interaction? And do you leverage AI?
Yeah, cool. So first rule is, can this be automated? No, then it's delegated. So the first question, any issue that we have or process is like, can this be made simpler through automation? No, if it can't, then we'll delegate it to an external team that we already have, or internal team that we already have. And if we can't do it there, then we'll externally hire for it. So we automate everything we can.
Yeah,
simply.
nice.
Yeah.
And do you use AI a lot with A players?
My COO uses like NADN. He uses Manus. You know Manus.ai?
No, I've not used that.
Way better than ChatGPT.
Oh, really?
It builds out like ridiculous docs, dashboards. Manus.ai is
Manus.ai.
really good. Manus, MANUS.ai.
Okay, cool.
Unbelievable.
Check it out.
My bill for that last month was like €400.
Oh, really?
I was like to call him. I was like, bro, what is this? It can't be that good. Zapier, NADN, and Manus. So he's in charge of all that. I tell him to experiment with one new AI tool each week, whether we use it or not, because he needs to see. He needs to constantly be like getting curious about systems that he doesn't understand. So he's great. I mean, he's so proactive, but give your team permission to like start fucking around.
I love
finding
that.
out.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, because ultimately that is where some little gems are going to come from.
And when you find gems for anyone else, if you find something before you hear about it,
Yeah.
that's when you're in.
Yeah.
Like we say to our content guys, okay, 80% playbook, 20% get as creative as you want. Because if you find a strategy doesn't work, then we have like 3 months of runway before anyone else can like utilize it the same way we can utilize.
Yeah.
So it's good to find blue ocean strategies. So you need to give permission to find them.
And that definitely creates A players then, because now they're looking at where they can improve the business and what they can do and what new strategies they can bring.
They feel like they own that department.
Yeah.
So it's their business.
Yeah, that's huge for me, and a huge value I have with myself, but also people in my team is ownership. And I want to give you responsibility of this part of the business, and that's yours, and you tell me what you think is best and which way we go with this. You're as opposed to the other way around.
100%.
And I think if you can create a culture of that and complete ownership in terms of what they're doing, you again are setting yourself up for success by taking stuff off your plate and being able to get them to create the systems and build the business.
100%.
What bottlenecks do you see repeatedly in maybe your own business or other people's businesses, maybe entrepreneurs that come into A players? Well, aside from, I know we spoke about ego, but what are the biggest bottlenecks you see maybe operationally with businesses that come into A players?
It's just not understanding their numbers. Like you're kind of just guessing, like roughly this, like my ROAS could be this. Or this profitable, but you have no idea. Yeah. And like you can't scale what you don't know or understand. Yeah. And so the biggest lesson for us over the last 3 months was like, we were like, oh, let's just put more money into here or this. But like, then we started putting back and being like, okay, how much are we actually spending here? And it took so long, but it's just so necessary for us to understand 3 or 4 core numbers in our business to be like, okay, if we just fix these couple of things. So for example, I say to my team, if the content gets 20% better, the operations gets 20% better, the sales gets 20% better, and let's say our executive assistant gets 20% better at whatever her responsibility is. That isn't just like a bunch of 20%. If you multiply them 20% by each other, it's actually an 18x in the company.
Yeah,
so a compound of small improvements in different sectors based off, let's fix one or two numbers that you can actually predict, creates a huge multiple within the business. Because like if this gets 20% better here, which leads on to this getting 20% better, which get like it multiplies. So that's what I told my team was like one or two metrics that we need to understand, like our ROAS, our LTV, our CAC. We need to understand three numbers really.
Yeah, that was one thing I took from Dan Henry actually. He was massive on data, and I didn't have enough data to support what he wanted, and he
tore you apart.
Yeah, he's a very direct talking guy. Yeah, and he just went straight in.
Rockefeller was the first ever billionaire, and he was obsessed with numbers. Like he used to hate people. He used to go in, even as worth multiple hundreds of millions, he used to go in and often just check like a simple receipt to make sure that the receipt added up to the exact numbers. Like they'd be so obsessed. It's a different business because back then their margins were so tight that if they made one mistake, the runway of collapse for the businesses would be like 1 or 2 months. Whereas obviously in the online space we have more space. But if you really want to optimize, you need to know your numbers or you can't scale.
Yeah, I've got some quick fire questions for you. We'll both answer them, but interesting to hear what you think. So one word that defines a great entrepreneur.
Curiosity.
I love it.
What would you say?
I would say speed.
Speed. Yeah.
What is a better skill, sales or product?
Short-term sales, long-term product.
Yeah. I think it's a skill. Sales is just unmatched. If you get good at sales, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Look at you. Look at where you come from. Sales background.
Background.
Because sales transfers into everything. Sales isn't even just selling the product, it's leading the team. It's getting people to take the action that you want to take.
David Ogilvy said though the worst thing you can do for a bad product is sell it or market it. And so it's like if you're great at sales but you ruin your reputation, it's also not a good thing at the same time. So there's the black and white and there's the grey, and the grey is like, okay, well, both. But if you had to choose one for the rest of your life, it would probably be sales, because you can build a good product all you want, but like if you can't bring it to market, good luck. Yeah.
First hire every founder should make.
So obviously solely depends on the business. I would say like for our types of businesses, most likely either I would say is an operations person. So if you're a salesperson who's bad, like whatever your complement your weak point, you need to hire first of all. Second hire I would say is probably content, which could be probably maybe very close to first hire. And then third would probably be like an EA who can like help you maximize the time that you spend thinking. Because thinking time's underrated. So them three are very difficult, but it's very, very, very business dependent.
Mine would be an EA or operations person, someone who can just immediately take tasks from you, so you have your time freed up to be able to push something forward.
Even like $500 a month VA off Upwork, if you get a really good one, will take a lot off your plate. Like, more than you understand. Like when I hired my first one, I was like, she sent me the invoice for the month and I said, this can't be correct. So you've done way too much work for this amount of money. So I think they're definitely worth it.
Although I find it really hard to find good EAs because you are letting them into a massive part of the business. They're almost acting as like your partner if you want one to act to a high level. And I find that
they need to be referred, in my opinion.
They need to be referred.
I had two that weren't good, but the first one that was referred, banger.
Really?
So I went to my friend who has a great executive assistant, said, any recommendations? This girl, hired her, amazing.
Unreal.
Referrals are the only way to hire VAs, in my opinion.
I love it. I need some referrals from you after the podcast.
That's fine, I can do that for you.
Emails or DMs, which converts better?
I would say the answer to that question is actually the effort you put into personalization, not necessarily which one. If I get an email and I can clearly tell it's automated or it's no effort in it, I won't look into it. If I get either and it's like, hey, I've created a 5-minute loom personally to you for this, here's where I think they'll trade. Like people who actually put effort into things nowadays will get further than like the volume. In my opinion, I think it's the context of each one.
For me, especially after my Dan Henry coaching, emails hands down. And since implementing that, I've booked multiple sales calls off emails.
Do you run email campaigns?
Yeah.
Emails. Campaigns are amazing.
Campaigns,
You can send like 10,000 emails a month for $300.
Yeah.
People don't know about emails.
Yeah. And emails, are getting delivered into quite a valuable section of someone's like admin life. Whereas a DM on Instagram, people just see it as...
You can't really, like, the highest average people are people that you access via email.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
What is one business book every entrepreneur needs to read?
Business book.
Do you read a lot of books?
No. I like to do.
Yeah.
Man, to be honest, as a beginner or like...
Anything.
As a beginner, it's definitely with like Hermosi's Offers book.
That's a great book. I love how simple that is.
Yeah.
It's incredibly simple. Like anyone can read that and get something from it.
Yet again, it's down to discernment of how you apply it to your business, which creates a good entrepreneur. The book that opened my eyes the most was a book called Blitzscaling by Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn.
Okay.
And that book simply just got me to think way bigger because of the stories that were in it about like Chesky and these other brothers that like basically bankrupt other companies or acquired other companies for huge values, or this company exited for 100 million in 90 days, all this sort of stuff. And I was like, I am playing some small games right now. I need to step it up. So that actually just got me to think bigger, which is valuable. Rockefeller has a good book, 38 Letters to His Son, so it's a good principle book. Besides, I haven't read that many books, to be honest. Not a big book fan.
Yeah, I think there's some great recommendations though.
Yeah.
I'm a massive fan of Buy Back Your Time, Dan Martell.
Great book.
Yeah, it's an awesome book. And I think that's, you can just implement stuff immediately from
frameworks
that.
And that.
So many frameworks that you can use. And then in terms of like maybe more of self-development but would apply to business would be something like Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
Something where it's just like make improvements daily and optimize daily because it pays off massively in the long run.
I've never actually read them books because my parents just like, I never had limiting beliefs in that regard of like, I always thought abundantly, always thought best case scenario. And for most people, they actually have to like outlearn their old habits and like relearn these habits. But like whenever I was reading like Rich Dad Poor Dad or Atomic Habits, I was like, I know. And then text my parents saying like, you guys did a great job.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't feel like which is just, that's the best gift because I don't have to like unlearn any bad habits,
That's the opposite to me. I had to unlearn every bad habit. I feel like I love my parents, but they didn't, they put some bad programming into me. And I had to really unprogram all of that to fix a lot of it. And
based on what they understood, they probably thought it was correct.
Of course, yeah. And your upbringing has such a massive impact on the way you think. But the thing that a lot of people don't realize is you can reprogram it.
Oh yeah.
You can fully reprogram the way you think. I've definitely changed the way I think dramatically through writing out in specific ways how I want to think and writing it out as if it's already happened. And this is who I want to be. And you say it enough times and it becomes true. Like you believe the words that you speak.
100%. I gave a really good exercise to the guys recently. I said, write down like every negative belief you have of yourself. They're really strong ones that play in your mind all the time. Write them down in like actual detail. Then scrunch it up and like throw it in the fireplace and take a deep breath. And just like let that belief like go and like watch it, like watch the fumes go away. And it has like something to do with your subconscious where you actually feel that deeply. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
What is the most overpriced marketing channel right now?
Oh, overpriced. I met Facebook.
Yeah.
I think like Instagram, if you put funnels in place, like Instagram is a landing page plus like a conversion page plus testimonial. It's everything in one if you do your Instagram correctly. So I think Instagram is the biggest opportunity, but Facebook ads directly, probably from my marketplace, not the best.
Yeah, I agree with that. For local businesses, like I work with a lot of local gyms, Facebook smashes.
Yeah, for sure.
But for the online game agencies,
No, not really, no.
Exactly. It's more for the...
I'd rather spend money on emails and...
Yeah. What is harder, starting or scaling?
I'd say scaling.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd say starting.
Really?
Why scaling?
I just think like if you have any fucking balls about you, you'll start. And if you don't, you're never going to do anything with your life. Like you need to get off the couch and get to work, or you won't do it. And for me, it's like starting was never really like a big issue. Like it's difficult to get into, it's difficult to stay consistent, but like that's what makes an entrepreneur. But scaling and figuring out how to get past certain bottlenecks and getting out of your own way and hiring, there's so much to understand about business, and like it all comes to you at once, and it's these problems you have to fix, and you're at a point where you can actually lose something, whereas at the beginning you have nothing to lose. Like you're going to go back to the same thing in a year's time anyway if you fuck up, whereas if you have something to lose, it's a bit of a, it fucks with your head a little bit. So I would say scaling for me personally.
I like that mindset. Yeah, you've got nothing to lose, just do it.
Yeah.
For me though, I've always felt the start is the hardest part, because once you actually start and you can see money coming in and you can start seeing some results, it's a lot easier to get moving and get into action. Whereas when you're sitting there thinking about, should I do this, and what are people going to think when I post this, and if I start this business it doesn't work. For me, that's always been the hardest part.
Fear of judgment is definitely like massive in Ireland and England when you're starting. I'd say in any country in Europe, but especially massive.
A massive mindset shift I've noticed from being in Dubai is that people here want you to win, and people here are so like encouraging in terms of,
they'll help in any regards.
They're so encouraging in terms of your development and your business succeeding. And I think sometimes in the UK there's that mentality of like, fuck that guy, he's doing well.
My biggest piece of instruction to someone who struggles with fear of judgment is try to think of the last reel that you watched, and you can't. And we actually view ourselves as more important than we are, and that stops us from moving forward. And so when you realize you're actually not that important and no one gives a shit about you, it's like, I don't know what anyone else is doing at home right now. I don't know what my friends posted today. I actually don't remember. And so like we think that when we do this post, everyone's going to think about it for hours. No one thinks about it for more than like 2 or 3 seconds. So like we're actually overthinking and overhyping ourselves at the beginning. And when you realize you're actually not that important, you actually have no importance because what you say is irrelevant anyway. It's like you should just do it. Because you're just getting good at the skill set then until you are relevant.
I feel you're very good at that. You put a lot of content out, and I think to put a lot of content out, you have to let go of what people think of you.
I mean, it doesn't even cross my mind anymore. I feel like at the start, 100% of the day, I was like, when I go back home, everyone's going to take the piss out of me. But I was like, look, like they're at home, you know, and some guys are sportive at home a lot nowadays. I mean, the tide's turning a little bit from back where I'm from. But the guys who really, really judge, like, I don't know what direction they're going in.
Yeah, it's such human nature to have a feeling of status and want to be liked by other people. So I definitely find it hard to let go of that. But the more you can let go of that, the more you can take action and just get results and not care about what people think, because that just does slow you down.
That's important about environment as well. Like I kind of found, like even with A players as an example, was like when you see all the other guys posting, you kind of just, it starts to become normal in your mind. And so like even if you're virtually, a lot of the guys when I started posting like 9, 10, 11 months ago, like just it kind of gave them permission to also post as well. So I think it's good to have exposure to people who are also doing the thing that you want to do, because it makes you feel like less of a, I guess, like a big fish in a small pond.
Massive, like what your business model, the network you create and the people you put yourself around, even if it's not physically but online, has a massive impact to how successful you are. Well, huge. And even just in your day-to-day, like who you talk to and who you spend time with. I'm massive on that. I will not speak to people I don't want to speak to. Like I will cut people out. Like if you from other people's perspectives, maybe it's like very harsh, but it's so important, because if you've got someone who's like draining your energy or like taking something away from you, you've only got 4,000 weeks on this planet. Like 4,000 weeks and you're gone. Like you have to really protect that time, because if not, why are you doing it?
I'll challenge that. I don't think anyone can take your energy if you don't want it to be. If I talk to someone who can technically drain my energy, it's in one ear out the other. I'm nodding my head. I'm not even in the conversation. And so it's like, if you have the belief that actually no one can affect your energy, I think it's actually an even stronger belief. Because I know exactly where you're coming from, but like this was a shift I had to have recently. Was there's a lot of people that can piss you off. There's a lot of TikToks and Instagrams that can piss you off, and it's like, if I choose to allow it to piss me off, that's also my choice. And so with energy, like you can protect it by simply just like, if you want to be in the conversation, you don't have to presently be there. You can listen and nod your head, but you don't have to like actually take in any of the things that they're saying. And so I'm trying to not get involved and give my energy to anything of negativity.
I love that, and I completely agree. You have to have that ability to not let it affect you. But I also believe that it's better to avoid the 100%. Temptation altogether, as opposed to have to sit for it.
Even like we had family issues at home at one stage, and you know, I think every family has its own issues, and you know, you'd have certain relatives come over and they'd say certain things, and like, you know, even my parents were guilty of this, but like they'd react in the moment. I was like, what's the point in reacting? Like, it's just like, agree with them, even if you disagree, just till they leave. At least like people talking about either COVID or talking about like someone in the family, I'd just be like, yeah, I actually completely agree.
Yeah.
And then they leave and I'll be like, whatever.
It's so true. If you agree with someone, there's no tension.
Dan Martell actually says that. Try agree as much as you can throughout the day. Like if someone stops you in the street or someone you disagree with, if you actually disagree with them, you actually will save so much of your energy.
Yeah.
He says try agree more. That's what he actually said.
I love that. Yeah. I should try that more because I definitely notice when you agree with someone, there's no friction.
There's no friction. They just move on.
Yeah.
Because they're looking for a disagreement most of the time. They're looking for a conversation.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean you have to adopt that mindset or adopt their thoughts. You just can agree. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I steal that. What's one thing you'd ban entrepreneurs from doing?
Oh, that's a great. Oh, what I ban them from doing? Renting cars. Okay, renting cars to rent a car for yourself is fine.
Yeah.
But like renting stuff for marketing, I'd just ban that. Like, because I hate when someone of pure intention of wanting to start their own business, etc., gets sold because they're immature to everything by someone who is not good at business but uses bad marketing tactics. I really just dislike that impurity of marketing. But if I wanted a serious answer, what would you do? Might give me inspiration.
I would ban people from not training. I think training and exercise, gym, sure. Just like physical exercise is not doing it. Yeah, like you can't not do it. You have to do some form of training because even if you become the most successful CEO, but you don't look after your health and fitness, I just think it's not worth going down that road because you're creating bad habits and you're creating a life which revolves around the success you get in business, which is cool. But for me, just the fitness and health side is so important. And I know it carries over so much in terms of your mindset and how you feel. And I think you will perform better. Like we can use an example of like Elon Musk and we say like, okay, he's pretty out of shape and he's an amazing CEO. But what if he did train? I think he would be better. I think he would be another level. As an
individual internally, you probably feel better. But for sure, like it doesn't, just because he has money doesn't mean it's a metric of success. It's whatever we view it as ourselves internally. If I could ban entrepreneurs from one thing, it would be the feeling of comfort. If they constantly had a feeling of discomfort, they grow so much more. But people just love the feeling of comfort, like whether that's where they live or the business that they have when they're stagnant to a degree. I would ban the feeling of comfort because you can actually become okay with feeling uncomfortable. So for example, someone had a conversation with me yesterday and they said, what would you change about your life right now? Like if you could like snap a finger, magic wand. And I said like, I'd probably live in like a cabin in America and I'd have a horse and a truck and I'd listen to country music every day, have a good wife, not be focused on business and just like live. But then I also said to them was like, but if I had that, I probably wish I had this.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you just always want everything you can't have, and knowing that you can have it all over time is like, for me, just the biggest feeling of fulfillment is just like not needing anything else I don't have, because I know when the time comes we can really get it if we want to.
Yeah, I love that. If you can have that knowingness to you're going to get to this point and not worry about what's going on right now, because it's going to happen, you're going to get to that point, it's such a better ride and you'll always perform better having that vision of where you're going.
Knowing internally that regardless of what you have, you always want something else, it's comforting to me. It's like, if I had that, I probably want this. So I'm just going to be okay with this. Yeah. Regardless, I'm not going to seek to be happy somewhere else. Yeah. Because he'd probably seek to be happy here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's one trait you can't teach in business?
Emotional intelligence.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Yeah, some people are just so fucking dumb with this stuff. Like, I have my biggest flaw is having a lack of patience for people who don't have high emotional intelligence. Yeah. I have really poor patience with it. It's something I need to work on. People who can't like read the room. I'm like, bro, like. Yeah. And how would you define emotional intelligence? Just like saying things when they just shouldn't say it. Or emotional intelligence is saying things you shouldn't say when you shouldn't say them. It's also just like making really dumb things or actions over and over and over again without learning from your mistake. Like lack of self-reflection or like intelligence to why something went wrong is very important. It also comes down to hiring, it comes down to posting, it just comes down to the words, in my opinion. Actually.
Yeah. For me, having a positive attitude is so important to be around people who are positive, to have people in your team who are positive. And I understand.
You think you can't teach that?
I think you can teach it, but it's harder to teach than a skill. It's harder to teach than like, let's learn marketing, let's learn sales.
Not very tangible for sure.
Because it's who they are as a person. It's like if you try and teach them to be positive whilst they're at work, they have to become positive in every aspect of their life.
I've coached genuinely thousands of people in like sales and agency and all this sort of stuff, and the only guys I've seen win was the guys who actually ask questions on like training calls. It's the guys who stay silent, like, bro, why are you quiet?
Yeah.
Like, you have something on your mind, so why aren't you asking the question? And I don't know if that's something that you can teach, that courage, the kahunas to just ask what's on your mind, regardless of how you think the answer would look. If you don't ask it, it's just the people who have direct curiosity, I often find, are just the ones that just grow extremely fast because they get such fast feedback loops in their own opinions.
Yeah. Well, that's what you said before, right? One of the best traits an entrepreneur can have is curiosity. Because find out what works, find out what doesn't. Why should I go in this direction? Like, ask why.
Why?
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Like,
it's
good to know, like, because essentially then what you're doing is you're reflecting on your own thoughts and knowing why you think certain ways, whereas like a lot of guys in the space would just take information directly and just apply it and without knowing why. And so it's like you can't replicate that, you can't scale that, you don't know why you're doing what you're doing. And just like it's just, I don't know if that can be taught or not.
Curiosity is such a massive part of being an entrepreneur, because if you weren't curious, well, you'd probably follow the standard 9-to-5 standard job path of I'm just going to do what everyone else is doing. Like, you have to have that curiosity to say, well, why can't I do what he's doing? Or why can't I go and build the business that is successful and give me the freedom to do what I want? There's
definitely even layers to that, because even in business, people get into their first like 10k, 20k a month, etc. And they do it by following a direct blueprint. They don't know why they got there. Like, and they can't get past certain barriers because they don't know why they sent certain messages or what worked and why it worked. And like that, there's like 2 or 3 levels of curiosity, and the complete top is just asking why and everything, and reflecting on everything.
Cash flow or profit, which matters more?
What's the difference?
Like revenue or profit? Like how much I actually seen Iman talk about this in an interview with Dan Henry recently, and he's talking about for him, he's like, it's all about profit in the info space, because all these big gurus are talking about how they're doing $1 million a month, but it's like, but their profit is 50k.
If you have more profit, you just have more thinking time. That's what I think. And so it's like, if you have high revenue, it just means that you have loads of overhead, and if you have loads of overhead, you can't think of what your next phase is. So I choose profit for the case of it just simply allows you to think more. And so whether I can make 500k revenue and I'm making 100k a month in profit, or I can make 75 revenue and 60k a month in profit, I just choose the second option, because even if I'm running 40k a month less, I'm allowed to pull leverage and use leverage.
I agree. I think profit's more important. I think revenue sounds good, and you can say I'm making this much money, but profit is the real metric that you should be looking at.
Americans are just the best at, just fucking lying out their teeth.
Paid ads or organic content?
Organic content every day.
Really?
Highest paying, best people.
Please explain.
Did you pay in DMs?
Do I pay in DMs?
You paid me in DMs.
Yeah.
You did. You were watching our stuff for a while. You didn't come from an ad. You ended my personal page, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I think I'd come through. Yeah.
Anyone who I've really enjoyed working with just come organically. And also, big bottleneck we had recently for A players was we were doing follower ads to the page, so it'd be like a CTA on an ad to follow the page. And we started growing the page, and it's like 30,000 followers now of ideal clients. But like, we kept pumping money into ads, and like more leads. And I pulled the team aside and I was like, okay, do we think we're maximizing the leads? No. Okay. So I'm turning off ads. It's like, until we know that we're getting the absolute most out of every single lead that we have, based on story sequences, based on messaging, capturing emails, etc., why are we getting more leads? Because we're just burning money.
Makes sense.
So it's like, you need to be able to understand how can you optimize the most for the stuff that you have, before adding paid ads on.
Yeah.
And look, that's not to say you shouldn't just fucking stick paid ads on at the very beginning, because some people have such a like perfectionism thing to want to start paid ads. I'm at 10k a month, I need to wait to 15 or 25 to start. Just start something.
Yeah.
$10 a day, $15 a day, $20 a day. Understand the system, how it works.
Yeah.
And even if it's slow at the beginning, just so you can push yourself forward in some direction.
Yeah. For me, it would be paid ads, but you have to have organic content.
Yeah.
You have to have some good organic content. And that is the thing that's probably more long term, because those are the customers that have that know you, like you, and trust you over a period of time, and then want to purchase. But I do think paid ads is such a great way to generate revenue.
Absolutely. But like now the kind of game's gone from, it used to be paid ads to like a landing page, to VSL, and to a book call, and to close. But now we have more skeptical buyers because people have got burnt in the past, or there's so many people out there advertising right now towards like, it's not just one ad you're clicking on that caught your attention. Every second ad's a guy selling you something, so you have to choose carefully, and you're going to choose based off who you like, and who you like is based off who posts organic content that you relate to.
What is your main paid ad funnel? Is it a follower ad to a DM?
Yeah, so we never do like direct DM. We never do to a landing page. We want them to follow us for the next 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if they buy from me now.
Yeah.
They're going to buy from me later.
Yeah.
Because they're going to see our value over time.
Yeah.
And I'd rather someone like relate to the brand and buy into the vision and the image of what we do over, like most of our guys that come to us has seen an ad like 6 to 9 months ago, which is probably flawed. We can probably get that down.
Yeah.
But I like that metric.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining.
That's one thing I've noticed about you, is you definitely look long term.
Yeah.
And you definitely think long term, which is really good. And be patient, and the payoff is going to come at the end. Because if you can do such a great job of building your brand and providing value now, like the payoff will come. Absolutely. In the end.
I think that's one of the biggest secrets to networking. Is any successful entrepreneur that I'm around that is doing 10 million plus a year, let's say, for example, to get to that level, you needed to think extremely long term. So you needed to reserve cash or get huge loans or whatever it is. And they respect my like just long term thinking. They're like, ask me my vision. I'm like, here's how I think this ecosystem is gonna work here. In like 2 years time, we plan to do this and this. And they're like, I like this way of thinking. He's not talking about revenue this month or revenue next month, because like that's not how you grow a business sustainably. So my biggest I guess value in network, as I've been told that multiple times with older guys, is I appreciate your long-term thinking. Yeah. And I think that if people want to get around the right people in business, they need to understand that it isn't about next month's revenue. Yeah, I like that. And that is something that's very apparent that you do well. Yeah. From knowing you. Yeah. One thing you look for when hiring. Proactivity is definitely one. Yeah. But I won't hire someone who's not obsessed with like the brand, or like I'll either hire like someone who's bought from me before. Like most everyone who works with me was a member first. Really? And then like they were like, I love this, I really want to work with this and here, and I was like, okay, let's do it. I like that. So they bought into the brand vision, and then if I'm ever hiring, I'll give them like an overload of information about like the brand beforehand, and they come in and they can answer certain questions. I'd be like, they've looked into things and are very attentive. So even when I was hiring an executive assistant, one of the tasks I gave was like, I hired all of them and told all of them to message me at a particular time, like the next day. And if they didn't do it, to me, they're not going to be on top of my task. Yeah. And so like whether it was 4:42 on Wednesday, just send me this message just to follow up. Like whoever followed up at that exact time, I was like, okay, next phase. Yeah. You know what I mean? So there's actually little small details. It's not necessarily about like their past credibility at all. Yeah, people waffle about their past credibility. So you tell them to message you at a specific time on a specific day. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. And then if they message, obviously they're through to the next round. And then the final thing I did was I gave them like a sheet of something that we're going to be doing next year. Like we're going to go. Don't want to speak about. When's this going to be out? A month. Okay, a month. We're going to, on January 1st, we're announcing that we're doing a global tour, 12 cities, 12 months, 12 events. So we're going all across Europe, and the final 2 cities are going to be Cape Town and Miami, into different sectors. And one thing that we're going to do is a 2-day event in like Budapest and Paris and Copenhagen and Marbella, etc. So we expand our brand into these different cultures, and we're going to partner with successful entrepreneurs from that industry to help market into their market for us. Nice. And all this sort of stuff, etc. So I gave them like, hey, we're going to go Budapest March 26th. Build me a 2-day itinerary in 2 pages, be as effective as possible. And whoever I thought put the most effort into it or thought about something outside the box, like here's how your meal prep is going to be, I'd be like, okay, they're the ones. So it's the people who think that outside the details of their role, of extra responsibility. They seek extra responsibility. Yeah, I love that. I really agree as well. I think if you've got someone who is putting in the extra mile and doing that extra bit, it pays off
fucking so
I also
much.
recommend offering lower money at the beginning to everyone to see who's actually bought in. Because if they're like, I'm not doing it for that money, you're like, okay, well, you're not here for the right reasons then.
Yeah.
So, you know, what my some of my hires, they did not get paid fairly for the first 3 months, but they worked their asses off.
Yeah.
They didn't complain about it once.
Yeah.
So they're there for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So underpay at the beginning is necessary.
Yeah. For me, probably two things: positive attitude and feedback.
Yeah.
Like, be able to take feedback and want feedback. Not even take feedback, like ask for feedback, like ask questions. How can I do this better? What else can I do? And it goes both ways. Like, you want to feel comfortable giving feedback and then also receiving feedback from that person.
Exactly. That's probably the two most important things in leadership is painting that vision that they can become obsessed with if you're hiring them. And then also in leadership is having the ability to have your team bring things to you in a constructive way. And so it's like, I was in a team meeting with my team and I said, I love this idea that I have. And they were like, yeah, it's a great idea. I was like, someone argue with me. Like, someone tell me it's not and tell me why it's not.
Yeah.
So you need to give your team permission to challenge you. Because like you can't have a leadership that's one way, because then there's no tension to know if you're actually on the right path or not. You're just following the leader.
Yeah,
which
100%.
not fair.
If you can create a culture of challenge, it's so
correct way,
beneficial. Yeah. Well, even like Jeff Bezos does this with Amazon, or used to when he was operating Amazon. It was the most senior person speaks last, and the person who speaks first, who's like the lowest down in the hierarchy in the business, has the ability to challenge the person right at the top. And if they're in a meeting, they promote it. They want it. They want everyone to push different ideas to each other.
Bad leadership is when someone's ego gets hurt when they're being challenged. If you're in a company and you bring something to the CEO and he like lashes out with you, you're not in for a good time.
I like it.
Yeah.
What's the worst advice for a new entrepreneur to follow?
Whatever is not their intuition is my answer. The worst advice that you can follow is someone's 100% advice. And so if you're joining a course, and yet again, if you're doing exactly what they tell you to do, you're not learning anything. You're just copying. You're copy pasting. Like, imagine going into a test, and for that test, all you're doing is copying the person beside you. You never actually learned anything. You just copied.
Yeah.
And it can look good at the very beginning, but you're not going to get far. So you're lying to yourself. So the biggest thing I say to beginners is you got to trust your intuition. You got to sometimes get advice, and people that you're paying to get advice from, and be like, okay, I understand. You don't need to accept it. Just acknowledge it. Okay, gotcha. If I mess up, I know for next time why I messed up.
Yeah.
And I accept that I made this decision myself. And so it's like having that intuition and trusting that is important.
Yeah. For me, business is easy.
Business is easy.
For thinking that you can go into it and it's going to be an easy road. Like, I think you have to, if you're starting something or you're going to take the path of being an entrepreneur, it's like for me, it's like you're choosing the hard path, which is fine. Just know that it's not going to be easy.
It's a bad expectation to set for yourself, for sure. Yeah.
If you had 10K to start again, where would you put it?
Like an investment into like self, or like what sort of industry would I put into, etc.
Yeah, for me, I would put it straight into self-development. If I've got 10K, I'm learning a skill or doing something that improves me.
Absolutely, like it has to be something to do with. It's got to be something to do with sales and self-development.
Yeah.
I'd probably split the 10K one into some sort of like really high-level sales training with some sort of placement, and the second thing into probably some sort of mental coach. Who can help me and allow me to think bigger. It's the two investments I'd probably make.
Yeah, sales and mindset. If you learn those two things, you're flying.
Yeah.
Actually, while I've got you here, can you give me a 2-minute sales training? What is the James Galligann 2-minute sales training video?
Interesting question. James Galligann 2-minute sales training. If you asked me this probably a year and a half ago, I'd probably be better. I think that marketing is better than sales, in my opinion, at my level of business. Like, I haven't sold anyone recently. Like, I'm not like, there's no tactic for me to sell anybody anymore. It's like what you see is what you get.
Yep.
And so when someone comes on a call with me, my approach now is like, well, when they're looking to join A players, and they're like, I need to think about it. It's like, hey, brother, like, I'm here to hold you at a standard of an A player. It's like, do A players move with speed, or do they move with like pessimism?
Yeah.
Well, they move with speed. It's okay.
Yep.
So what do you want to be?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to work then. So like for me, it's not. I don't really believe in sales tactics as much anymore, just because of the industry that I'm in. And I also believe that if you do a good enough job with marketing and organic content, your clients should be clients that you want to work with and clients that are convicted of what you do. So if someone actually is too hard to or so against it, that's a damn problem that they need to fix. And I actually don't sell anyone who doesn't want to be sold anymore.
Yeah, that's huge. The more you can show objections in your organic social media and overcome them, the easier it becomes when someone comes to want to join your program or business, because they've already got to that point of, I want to work with this guy.
Yeah, people are very focused on like, how can I increase this percentage of closing through this tactic, etc. But if you actually just put that effort into marketing, pre-handling objections through like stuff as FAQs or pre-calls, or client testimonials based on someone who came from that certain area or certain objection, like it does become pretty easy. So a sales masterclass, I mean, one book you should read is definitely Gap Selling, to anyone who's new to sales. It's definitely the most important thing to just you're in B2B sales, it's very logical, so you're creating logical gaps, which is in regards to numbers and opportunity costs. And in B2C sales, it's cost of an action in regards to the life you want to live. So it's dependent. But if anyone wants any tips and tricks, I can put it out the locker. Just you need to DM me based on circumstances.
I think it's good to know as well that you can't sell someone who doesn't have a problem. Like there has to be a need there for you to sell them something. And so if you don't identify that, then you got to identify the need. I mean, the number one sales tip I'll give is like, it's always the third why. And so if you're saying to someone like, I want to make more money, and they're like, okay, or they want to make more money, how much? I want to make 10k a month because I want to live this life. You're like, okay, like, why do you want to do that? Well, right now in my life, I don't really have access to this. I was raised with this, and like, how did that affect you? And so it's like, my biggest tip is view sales as an iceberg, and beneath an iceberg there is 7/8 of the iceberg. And so if you're asking surface level based questions the whole way through, you never actually got to the core reason of why they're doing or making a change. And if the Titanic hit the iceberg and the iceberg was only the iceberg, it wouldn't have sank. And so you need to be able to, it's more important for me to ask 3 questions but go extremely deep on all 3 than it is to ask 15 questions on a script or framework. So biggest tip I can give after that is, when you ask someone in sales after the agenda, the first question should be a broad question, like, what made you come here today? Or why are you showing up to this call? The first thing that comes off their brain is the number one priority on their mind. And so I would just recommend you broad question and then narrow question, the first thing that they said. 100%. 100% agree.
Yeah,
love that. What is the most common reason businesses fail?
I just ask them not to poor leadership.
Poor leadership.
I got it. Like leadership in regards to numbers, leadership in regards to culture, leadership in regards to vision, and no one wants to buy into that. Like it's all leadership. It's just like, your business will only fail if you're a bad leader. And so people always say to me, which is so frustrating to me, is people will say to me like, I need to reinvest into my ads or all this. And as you said, you need to invest into yourself as a business owner. It's like, it's not into, you don't know what you're investing into. Like, let's say I'm putting money into my ads. You don't know what you're doing. So like, you need to invest into you as a CEO, how you operate, how you think, into other pieces of information, because you don't know what you're actually doing.
It's not the strategies, it's you.
It's not the strategy. You're like, your business is a reflection of you until you have like 4 or 5 people underneath you. And then it's like, there can be other variables, but until like 50 to 100k a month, the business is only mirroring your capabilities. And so people need to realize it's not the fucking next ad that you're going to run that's going to be the golden nugget. It's you as a CEO.
100%. I think if you can put more time into developing yourself before you even start the business, you're going to get there so much faster. You're going to grow so much faster. Just focus on you. And I fall culprit to this as well, in terms of, I will spend so much time and energy into like the new marketing strategy or the new system that we're implementing, which is important, but you have to be setting a time aside each day or week to your self-development. I'm massive on reading books. I will spend 20 to 30 minutes a day reading, because that's what's pushing me forward, and that's where I'm learning something. Or maybe it's sitting in on an A player's training call, or maybe it's watching a YouTube video on how to do this thing. But that upskilling yourself consistently, daily, monthly, just by the end of the year, you compare yourself to a person who hasn't done this, and your levels different.
The toughest thing for me to tell a beginner is I actually think their time is more valuable spent underneath a good leader and learning for a year's time extremely underpaid than it is to start their own thing.
Yeah.
Like when I tell you I would not be where I am without Paul, Iman, Alex, them guys, I would have no idea on culture, on brand, on anything. Like if I had an ego to say I deserve to go out and start my own thing, like a lot of people in that team did, they because they worked at Iman, people were hyping them up the whole time. They had leads handed to them. They were like, I deserve to be paid more. It's like you don't understand the skill set though, and like we were in a golden nugget of an offer to where everything was like organic and all this sort of stuff. So I knew the stuff that I was doing sales wise was good, great fundamentals, but the stuff that I was learning in regards to leadership, or the stuff that I was learning in regards to not do as a business owner, was the best learnings I ever had. So like their fuck ups where they would have lost X amount of money on a launch or a sales pitch or a structure, for me to know to not do that saved me hundreds of thousands of euros. So it is really, if someone's under like 2-3k a month, I'd say like just spend time working with somebody else for a year.
Yeah,
it is tough to do because you feel like you're missing out on something else, but you will learn more by someone else's mistakes than you will by like your learnings at the very beginning.
Yeah, that goes back to your long-term thinking.
Yeah,
again, you're thinking
so
long
hard
term.
to do for most people, to be honest.
Yeah, and you do it so well. Even there with like your thought process to how do you become from a beginner to being successful. It's like just take the time to build the foundation, learn from someone first, and then go do the thing.
It's so tough to give advice online because like I actually don't post many like talking head reels because for me advice is so. It's so like you can diagnose it in whatever way. You can't take advice literally, and so. A friend of mine who does the 10 million a year with his agency at 25 was giving me this advice, and I can take this advice right now, but if I give that same piece of advice to someone at 10k a month, they can't implement it, and they think they can but they can't. And so it's like advice is so broad that like it takes talent to know what advice you should take, what you should store and what you should action. And so I just find myself so reluctant to give advice because it's so specific to where you're at in business. Because the advice that you hear online, even from us right now, if you're at certain stages of business, it won't apply to you.
Yeah.
But some bits will.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think long-term thinking is the only way to go about it because it's like you learn self.
Yeah. And that's where I find a lot of value in hiring a specific coach who can then apply the specific advice that fits your situation best, and not just like I take a lot from books and I take a lot from reading general stuff, but having that person who's like, no, do this thing, and also just shutting out the other opportunities because I'm like, he's told me to do this, so I'm going to do this. Means that you're probably more successful in that.
There's a great line a mentor of mine once gave me. He said, everything looks like an opportunity when you have no strategy.
Yeah.
And so at the very beginning, you're like, this could be the right thing, this could be the right thing. Or even if you're at 50k a month, you think, I should form this partnership or take on this client or whatever it is. And it all looks great because it's money. But like the greatest thing I've learned is I've denied myself so much money streams from things that I just knew wouldn't be with me in like 5 years time because it's not part of the game plan. So like you're fucking yourself up and you're cock blocking yourself from getting to your goals because you're just so focused on you don't know what your strategy is.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that. What was the saying?
Everything looks like an opportunity when you have no strategy.
Yeah. That's mega.
That's set with me.
What is something that because you've obviously mentioned earlier there working with Iman, working with these people who are really high level, and you've taken a lot from them. What would you say Iman specifically does really well?
Hiring.
Really?
Yeah. He was not afraid to let go of percentages because he knows. And like the biggest thing that we mess up on as entrepreneurs is we view a hire as a cost, where it's actually an investment. It's a really big reframe we need to do. It's like, I just bringing in this person's expensive. Yes, but so is saying where you're at, and they're also going to make you more money. So would you rather like more money and less pressure and someone who's actually good at what they do, or like we view it wrong? Like the same way as we view accountants, we're like, oh, that's an unnecessary cost. It's an investment. It saves you money.
Yeah.
So same with your team. If you hire a good sales manager, he saves you money because he makes you money. And so it's like, it's tough at the very beginning to let go, but he was very good at like hiring the right people. Also, he's very, very good at paying them below market value because of the vision that he set and the person that he was. So it was branding, positioning for him and hiring that I learned the most.
And how was he good at finding the right people?
He did it all himself. Like any hire that he made himself. All the big hires he made himself, and then he trusted to hire an SDR. He wasn't going to hire an SDR. He allowed the sales manager to do what the sales manager's best at, what he's done before. But any big hires that he made, yet again, he didn't delegate, and he did a lot of interviews, and yet again, a lot was referrals as well. So he also fed into people hugely. I mean, he'd buy people their equipment. He would make sure that they're there for the long term. Like the amount of people he's bought watches for in the company, the amount of people he's bought MacBooks for. He'd just buy them the stuff that would be like invaluable to them in that moment. That would just make them lifelong employees. He's so good at that stuff, genuinely.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
What do you feel about meetings? Do you feel like they're necessary, or do you feel like they're a waste of time?
I'll not hop on a meeting with someone unless it's like such a clear agenda. Like people will be like, what's the meeting? I'm like, okay, unless you're like going, reflecting on yourself to where you know what the problem is and you're coming with like one extremely clear problem that I can give you a solution on, and if I for some reason can't give it over text, then we'll get a call in. And Nicole is great at that right now. Like she'll tell anyone who texts me like, okay, like what's the actual issue? It's like, and it's something broad. I'm like, but what's the issue? And so until you can identify your own issues, like there's no, and I'll hop on for 15 minutes max, because you don't need to be on any longer than that.
Yeah.
With my team, I just think it's important to have it every day, just for culture. At the very beginning, you'd have everyone bought into the vision, so I have half an hour meetings with my team every day. So I do believe in that. I know whether that's right or wrong, yet again, it's down to what stage of business that people are at.
And what's the agenda for your 30-minute meetings?
So I don't really have like a clear agenda. It was something I could probably be better at. I mean, I'll hop on, we'll reflect on the day before, reflect on what we're supposed to be doing task-wise today. Like Nicole will be like, we need to do this is overdue, and we're like pushing the needle forward. But as I said, we were kind of just reacting and acting day by day. So that's where we're pulling back now to be like, okay, well, what's the actual strategy to go for the next 6 months? Because as I said, everything looks like an opportunity with no strategy. And so it's like, if we're just day by day, this really looks cool, that looks cool. It's like we don't actually know why we're doing it.
Yeah.
So we want to create a plan, stick to that plan, and then reflect on that plan after the 6 months is executed.
So I have a bit of a different strategy to you then.
Gotcha.
I'm not a fan of meetings.
Gotcha.
I think meetings are for decisions.
Okay.
Morale, yes, I feel like for culture and morale there is that aspect to it. But I really try and avoid meetings. Like it's like, send me the issue written and let's work on this. If we need a decision to be made and we need to discuss what's the best course of action, then cool, let's have a meeting. Yeah. But otherwise, I feel it's quicker and oftentimes better just sending me the written proposal or the written issue, and then let's fix that.
Yeah, if you can't write your problem in 2 lines, you don't have the problem. Is you like, you need to identify the problem. So I always teach my team, it's like, before you bring something to me, try your best to like find 3 solutions. Whatever you think's best, go for that first of all, and if it's still wrong, come to me. Like you need to be able to in leadership, you need to be able to have your employees think for themselves and be able to learn by themselves. Because if they're coming to you with every problem, they're not learning. You're like, they're reacting to your thing all the time. So it's very important to get them to learn.
What's the fastest way to increase revenue?
Wrong question.
Say again?
Wrong question.
Wrong question.
Yeah.
What's the right question?
Leverage. Like I don't care. Like I really don't care about how much money I make next month. I'm not focused on that. Like 0% of me is focused on that. Like
0%.
This man, 0% of me.
0%.
Like, generally 0%.
There's got to be a little percent.
Oh man, there's maybe a couple of percent. Like, but I generally am so focused on what we're doing over 12 months, starting next March. Like that's my focus. Like next March, 4 months time is my focus. Like that's the thing that I know that will bring us to 5 million a year in profit is starting next March. And so what I earn next month will not take my focus away from what I need to do in 4 months time. That will 10x things if I execute them correctly. Because the max you can do with a proper scale, like where you're not fucking over your clients, is like maybe 20% growth. Maybe. Like, and if you're absolutely cooked on fulfillment, you can scale like 2x, 3x next month. But like you can't handle it and it's not sustainable. So why would I do it? So to me, it's like making more money next month's not important. So, okay, if max I can make is 20% of what I'm doing last month, it's not going to get 80, 90% of my focus, right? But what will get all my focus is, if I pull back, what's the move that will allow me to 10x my business through a different structure? I'll do that. That's always your focus as a CEO, in my opinion. If you're focused on next month's revenue all the time, you can't get your business to 300, 400, 500k, $1 million, 2 million a month.
That's an awesome answer.
Yeah, thank you.
That's an awesome answer. And so will you split your like goals into like yearly goals or quarters?
I used to not have any until this year. Okay. I used to be very like intuition based, and I was talking to a mentor of mine. He said like, what's the next game plan? And I said, I don't know, like in life as an entrepreneur, like whatever is supposed to come in front of me, like is always come in front of me. And he laughed. I was like, why are you laughing? He said, hope's not a strategy. And I was like, fair. And he said like, you need, regardless of whether you execute on the exact strategy that you set out, obviously the goalpost moves, and that's like where true entrepreneurs come in, as you can assess like, is this really worth sticking to right now? Like real entrepreneurs can identify that stuff. And that's why information is so hard to give, because I can say to somebody, go set goals, and they'll stick to them 100%, even though they maybe need to change them based on circumstances. And so the real entrepreneurs can discern whether they're supposed to be on the right path or not, based on like true like reflection. So that's why I find it hard to give advice, because he said to me, hope's not a strategy, and I said, that's perfectly correct. Here's what I think I should do, like 100%, and let me go after that 100%. But if I know in all my business, heart and brain that that's not correct, after 3 or 4 months, I'll adjust it. So it's all about adjustment. Like Christian, one of my mentors, he said he'd adjust his goals every week or two. He'll have an end goal, but he'll adjust the middle parts every week or two. You can't.
Yeah.
You be flexible in that regards.
I think intuition is so important with business, and I think your gut feeling and how, like, the intangibles, like maybe it's not tangible in regards to you don't know why it doesn't feel like you shouldn't go in that direction, but oftentimes that feeling that you have within yourself, and if you're aware enough to listen to that, there's a reason to not do that thing, or there's a reason to make that decision even though it doesn't quite make sense at this moment. I've always found those decisions that I've made have paid off massively, and sometimes you really can't say why.
I always say to the lads, like, you know when like you're at a bar or a restaurant and let's say there's like a girl there and you know you're not supposed to talk to her, you'll feel it in your heart, so like that person's not going to be good for me, and you'll know it. And whether you choose to do it or not, that's down to you. But it's the same in business. Like in business, sometimes you just know, I should not do this thing. And you'll have a more warm feeling to, I should do this thing. And you just got to go with that, because it'll help you learn why you think certain ways. And you can, as always, adjust next time around. 100%.
Build one business or many?
Many within the one vertical. So you shouldn't be focused on running an e-commerce business and an agency business and a reselling business.
Yeah.
But you can, like for me, it's like I have A Players, which is a members club.
Yeah.
And with that right now, we're building a software that complements the event management of the networking club that can be used as like our digital real estate, to where other communities can use that too. So it's our way of getting more of the market share. And so it's like, maybe if we bring clothing into that, clothing will help with the brand and the culture. And so it's like, if you're building stuff into your vertical, like Rockefeller, he owned the oil, then he was like, okay, let me get in the railroads, the refineries. It's all within that vertical. But if you're starting other things, it's a distraction. I actually asked him, I was over boxing with him last Wednesday or something along those lines. So do you feel like the stuff that you did, like the clothing and the cans of electrolytes, etc., were a distraction and like along your way? It's like, probably was a distraction, but like he wanted to do them anyways, regardless, and they kind of played into his brand long term. So it's like, if it's playing into the one vehicle, yes, because right now we have the leverage of AI, and so you can be leaner with the things that you do, and you have more time, and the time that you have can be more efficient. So in the past, no, but now Daniel Priestley even talks about like the next phase of entrepreneur will be venture entrepreneurs who own multiple percentages of each business. So like people bring me into their boards sometimes now because I have a really strong network. So they're like, I need to get an introduction to this person. Yeah. And I'll be like, okay, I know his manager, or I know a guy who knows his manager. Yeah. I'll get an introduction. I have like equity in that company now but it doesn't take my extra time or energy. So I assess whether I should be involved in something to where it's like, will it take my energy outside of the calls that I'm on for that call? If that makes sense.
Yeah. I feel like you're a very well-connected guy, and I feel like the network you have oftentimes is the net worth that you have.
Oh, absolutely.
And the
more, over time.
Yeah. So I like what you said there in terms of, yes, make it within one vertical, because it's definitely stupid to have multiple businesses that are just going to take time in completely different directions. They need to have some sort of interlink.
That's at a position of leverage 100%. Like, yet again, when you're in process A to B, that's not even important. Like, you need your first strong vertical that you know is going to guarantee you 50, 60, 70k a month in cash flow. Then it's like, okay, let's like look into how we can make a move that leverages this vehicle that we're in right now.
Yeah. And also understand that your time is so limited, and like for you to be able to really move the needle and get successful in an area, like we said right at the start, the analogy of you hitting the sword at different places, you're not going to make a dint. What was the analogy?
You're not going to make a sharp sword if you're a blacksmith hitting different parts of it. You need
to, like you need to take focused action towards one piece of one area to get results. And I think if you're going to be doing multiple businesses, it sometimes
that's a really good like way of putting it, to where it's like, if you're going to take your eye off the ball in one area, you need to make sure the business is stable enough to where like it won't take an 80% drop. If you complete, like if you can walk away for 3 months and the business will be pretty much near the same case scenario if you come back. That's a good business to be able to like, direct your attention towards something that can be a leg of that business.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. One tool you couldn't run your business without. For me, I've just implemented Slack into my business.
Just implemented Slack? Like a granddad.
Before this, I would do everything through my WhatsApp. I do everything
really?
through WhatsApp and email. And I would just have no time to switch off. And the past month has been a game changer because now I have my business on Slack.
That's wild.
And then my WhatsApp is for more urgent stuff. But it's been crazy, like the difference to actually have some time to switch off.
Okay. Do you mean tool in regards to like Slack and Notion and all them? Or do you
could be anything.
Do you mean like Instagram as well?
Yeah, it could be anything.
Well,
yeah.
Instagram, I'd probably die.
Yeah.
I mean, like, a mentor actually asked me, he said, like, I don't really love Instagram, and I told him that, and he said, like, okay, well, how are you going to run your business without it? I never thought about it from that degree, but like one thing I was always just be very focused on, and even when like I had my ex at the time, was like I'd be so focused on like the one way that I do things right now is the only way I can do it, and like I'd be extremely closed off to like there's other ways to operate the same thing. And so what I've realized recently is like you can actually operate the vehicle that you're in many different ways, and only entrepreneurs get stuck in is like they get taught one way and they're in this box of thinking, and often like you can go so far outside the box and still operate the same business, but we're just so narrow in what we've learned. And so it's a good question to ask yourself, like how would you run your business without the core acquisition system that you have right now? What way would it work? It's a good way to have you think about making the foundation of that business stronger, because odds are if you're relying on one channel, it's not very stable either.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and again, it comes back to that thing of just taking a step back and analyzing and thinking, what better way can we do this, or which direction could we go, which would be more beneficial. I really like that. Do you feel that every successful entrepreneur is or has been at some point in their career delusional?
Oh, what do you think?
100%.
Yeah.
I think you have to be.
Yeah.
I think the best and most successful people are the most delusional, but it's only delusion if it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, delusion is just simply the belief in something that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
So it's self-belief.
Yeah.
And I mean, like for anything, I mean, the delusion is a very funny word, because like the delusion is like, can I do it? Because it's actually been done before. Most of the stuff that's been done, just like about you.
Yeah.
It's actually a self-belief thing.
Yeah.
Because like it would actually be delusional to say I'm going to land on marriage tomorrow, because no one's landed on marriage yet as an individual.
Yeah.
Because like it's actually, the word delusion assumes that it hasn't been done before. So I'd say it's actually more of like, do you believe that you can do it yourself? Okay, like what separates me from anybody else? Not much. Okay, go do it then. So yeah, ridiculous self-confidence and delusion is definitely a key factor of success.
Yeah, I think for everything, even if you look at the top sports people, like they have to be delusional to get to that level. They have to believe. You have to believe it before the thing happens.
Yeah,
you have to truly believe in. And I'm a massive advocate of manifestation. Yeah, and if you don't believe it first, well, it's very unlikely it's going to happen by accident.
Yeah, delusion just often means that like you don't rely on anybody else as well. Like you just a huge self-belief, and that creates success because, yet again, as we said before, you're not relying on anybody else. You have your own conviction, and that delusion balanced with, I guess, the groundedness to know when you should listen and when you shouldn't listen is like the perfect formula.
What's the biggest failure or near failure that you've had, which has created a lesson that has benefited you now way more than any success you've had?
Okay, I can't go into too much details in this because it was actually, I can even tell you after the podcast, but there was one time where I didn't do due diligence on a person that joined.
Okay. Into the A place?
Yeah. It was essentially this person who told me about his past, and that he was essentially recovering from his past and was on this correct path. And the path that he was on, I was like, I believe in that path. And he said he wanted to be around A players because A players is a very value-driven, moral group in going in one direction. And I said, I believe in you. I believe in your words. Let's make it happen. Mm-hmm. And the biggest lesson I learned from that was you have to trust people's actions, not their words. Whether it's in a relationship, your partner can tell you one thing, but if they're not acting a certain way, it's like that's not correct. So that essentially this person had ended up costing me thousands of euros, not just in returning their money, but also in external ways of like threats, blackmail. It was a deep situation, and I'll go into more after, because I don't want to call that person out. I don't, like, I've no resentment towards them, whatever they're going through. I wish them the best for that, and if they ever want my help regards to anything, that's fine. It just went very south very quick, and now going forward, I'm grateful for that lesson, because it cost me, let's say, it cost me 5 figures in a lesson, but I'm grateful that happened now, because if that happened in 3 years' time without this experience now, I probably would have lost millions. And so I'm grateful for that lesson now, and to learn it early, and to not compromise your values based on somebody's words. And you really need to see consistent action in someone if you're trusting them over a period of time. They'll get my trust, but they won't get access to like the stuff that you have, until they prove it over long.
Yeah, that's huge. Being able to trust someone does come from what they do, not what they say. And the saying goes, like, you should trust people slowly. But sometimes it's easy to feel comfortable with someone, and if you get along with them well, it can be easy to be like,
so many angles of trust. I mean, like, in a relationship, like, if you're going to be with someone, you trust them fully. Like, if you're going to say yes to being a girlfriend or boyfriend, to me that means, like, I am now fully convinced that this person will not cheat on me, and they will not do anything wrong, and their actions need to follow. But like, as humans, we're very typical to think in worst case scenario, and we'll put pressure on our partner because we think that they're doing things that they're not, and that can be negative too. And so it's like, in relationship, I believe trust is important until actions are extremely clearly disrespectful, then it's crossing the line. But then in business, due diligence, yet again, I like to work with people that I know, and that's why I think like network's super important, because like, if I'm hiring an agency or a sales guy or an operations guy, knowing that someone that I respect vouches for them is huge. But this person wasn't like a recommendation, it was this person I met, you know what I mean? So I will tend to do more business and be more aware of who I'm talking to based on referrals, and I'll ask around before I'll do business again.
I've definitely made some bad hires, and it's cost me a lot of money.
And a lot.
An
opportunity cost.
Opportunity cost, and also like a culture cost as well. Like, if you get one person who's toxic, and it can have a lot of impact, like long lasting, regardless of the money.
Or people are in and out of a business, like, you're hiring, then you're firing, then you're hiring and firing. Like, it just creates unsteadiness in the company.
Definitely. What is the future for A players? What's your vision for A players?
We are going to, European entrepreneurship has never had a home, and we're going to give it a home. And there's going to be very clear ways that, as an entrepreneur, once you get from A to B, I said to my team clearly, I do not want to bring guys from the start to the first few clients. I'm not interested in it, because I believe it's all done by yourself. You don't need more information, you just need to be able to action it, and that you can't teach. And so once someone gets from there and they're in this ecosystem, we'll have events close to them, we'll have networks close to them, we'll have strategic partnerships they can have, we'll have Rolodexes, we'll have these trainings. And for me, these trainings are, as you've seen, like, they're very, very high level trainings that will like get you to think outside the box, or in certain categories of your business, or to act as a CEO, for example. So we'll have hubs across Europe, we'll have access for you to get into different markets and form partnerships. As we said, like, business, if you want to be in it long term, even as a agency right now, like, I really would recommend, even as an agency, just getting a board of advisors on your agency. So simply go get a guy who's trusted with lead generation agency, get his company on your website as like a strategic partner or board of advisor, because now your company can now take the the stars or the ratings or the clients of that company, and you're now more credible. Or your content strategy partner, or your web development strategy partner, have them all on your website and create more credibility. So I believe that over the next years, there'll be huge separation in freelancers, individuals, and like companies and businesses. And so you need to build yourself as a business more so than just an individual. And I believe that we're going to be able to give guys across Europe that chance to go from like individual to business and to like live a more fulfilling life, because they're around guys who believe what they believe and do what they do. And just talking on your point there, like, creating reputation is massive. Because if you, actually, funny story is how I heard of you was not through social media. It was through someone talking of you offline about, you'd done a talk somewhere, and one of my friends had told me about you. And it was that reputation thing of, this guy has done X, Y, Z. He's like, I've just listened to him. He came across in this way. And
that's how I then went to your Instagram and followed you on Instagram.
Do you know what that was from or no?
I can't remember. I can't remember. But again, it's just that thing of reputation, having the reputation to be known offline and in rooms that you're not in is huge.
Man, so important. Like, you know, there's so many guys in the online space that I've just got a bad rep, and like I've been at dinners and they're like, have you heard of this guy? I'm like, no, not really. Like I know of him.
Yeah.
I don't like that guy. He fucked me over. Like, he didn't give me my money back here. Like, it's very important. Like for me, like as I said, long-term thinking allows you to protect your reputation because you're not making quick moves for cash flow.
Yeah.
And when you make quick moves from cash flow, odds are you're fucking somebody over somewhere else because like you're not ready to do what you're supposed to do. And I mean ready in regards to like fulfillment or in regards to overcharging or whatever it is. So I'm just a big believer in just like playing the long game, and people trust you enough over time and recommend you enough, you'll naturally just fall into something, I think, in the long term. Like if, for example, I met someone yesterday and their dad owns when you walk into a supermarket and you pull something off, let's say you pull a Lucozade off the stock, and another Lucozade automatically gets pushed forward, the spring and the manufacturing behind that, he owns that business, like the production and the distribution of that. And I'm like, how the fuck did he get into that? Like, who thinks of that?
Yeah.
I was like, he didn't think of it. It just got referred the business by someone who was getting older, that trusted him, who wasn't running the sales and marketing effectively, and he was really good at XYZ sort of skill set, and he just like got offered the right thing at the right time with a good reputation over 20-30 years.
Yep.
And so I believe that that'll come faster for our generation because we have more exposure than ever before. So protect our reputation over revenue every day.
Yeah, I completely
reputation
agree.
over revenue is a nice saying.
Yeah. I should coin that.
Yeah, reputation over revenue.
Last question. Where is entrepreneurship heading in the future, and who is getting left behind?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So in entrepreneurship, there's obviously different waves. There's the Sam Ovens wave, then there was the Ty Lopez wave, or the Iman Gadzhi wave, etc. And what Iman did was Sam Ovens and Ty Lopez were very, very high level. So the high level guys went to him, right? The guys who somehow found their way into the online space, right? But what Iman created was this wave of people who were like completely unaware to doing something with themselves, whether that's starting in like an SMMA or they went into sales, doing remote sales, etc. And so what happened was there's this huge wave of people who attached to the identity of his lifestyle and the material side of things. And so what I see happening was the people who get into that will be hugely separated from the people who actually care about business. So lifestyle versus business, and business will win in the next 2 or 3 years. So the separation I see coming is like the guys in A players are just so obsessed with business. Like none of them like care too much about watches or cars, etc. They're obsessed with the figures of business and growing individually, self-development wise. And there'll be a huge gap now become apparent with the guys who are stuck at 5-10k a month because all they care about is the YouTube videos that they watch about the watches and cars, etc. And the guys who care about business. And the guys who are adaptable to their business in regards to implementing AI as fast as they can, giving their team permission to fail in that regards too, are going to be the guys who win, who become as efficient as possible with their time. And then they're going to be completely separated. So this is why I positioned myself in this way in the marketplace with A players, is because I've seen that now people have been in the game for 1-2 years. Now all they're craving is I need to be around more guys who think and operate like me, because I've been doing this thing long enough and people have started and stopped alongside me, and now all I want is just to be able to structure this thing that I'm doing, that I've got myself into somehow long term. And that's why we position ourselves in that way, because I believe that gap is going to become bigger and bigger.
Yeah, being in business is a marathon, not a sprint. And the more you can fall in love with the process of it and just accept the challenges that it faces, the better you'll do. This has been awesome. Appreciate it.
How long did we even go for? It's a long time.
We've been chatting for 2 hours.
2 hours? No way.
It's
a sign of a good conversation. I hope they enjoyed it. So
absolutely. Time to go get some food.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.